We haven't. Oh, okay.
Yes.
And welcome to the 94th episode of DevKami. And my name is Bok, although Chilo.
I'm Ismail, and we have a guest today. Wait, but before that, you may ask, where is Tristan?
No, Tristan is not joining today.
He had something happening, so he will join next time. And we have our guest, Iszuddin. Say hi.
Hello. Okay.
So,
you may have a second for me to share this live video to my timeline.
wait, you'll probably find it, but yeah. You can share it. Please share it, and please tell us what more people seeing us.
DevKami.
So yeah. You probably find it on our Facebook, but let's talk about our usual stuff. So while Iszuddin is still preparing, let's cover our usual thing. So
Good vibes.
Hey, wait.
So
what sort of events are happening around us?
Yes. So the first thing that happened next week is actually Junior Dev Malaysia. More detail will become. This will be happening on August 11, 8:30 p.m. Tuesday. Then on the next day is on Wednesday is Software Architecture Community Malaysia meeting number 1. So this is also online. Both talk is online. This one, but Software Architecture Community happening on 12 August, 8 p.m. And they have all the thing ready already lah. So then on Thursday, a preview is we're going to interview the CEO of Aman's, Ikwan, aka Tekong. I know him for a while. So I think that's pretty much the only event for next week. So what's the big news in technology that you want to talk about? I have one. User of LastPass will now actually get a security dashboard. So do I get a link? It's not on the news, but I get it from the email. LastPass security dashboard. So what it covers is a few things. One, they actually had a dashboard on the password string. Second is they actually have the more important one to me is actually the password monitoring. So they actually monitor the dark web. And oh my goodness, I lost my tab. They actually monitor the dark web and check for your username. So if your password got leaked and all that, you will actually see it on the dashboard. So that's actually the first big news. So what's the second? Any other news you have around here that's interesting?
Sam just shared. It's not really tech news. Disney Plus is going to launch Indonesia.
Yep, which is actually very interesting because a lot of people think that yes, Indonesia had the number, but Indonesia also occasionally have conservative outcry, which lead to closing down of some service. So, which make Indonesia a very interesting choice to launch something like Disney Plus. But Disney Plus is also very family friendly, so that's the selling point actually. So this is really interesting to see. Because the pattern for tech company mostly is they will start in Singapore first because it's easier to launch things there, then Malaysia, then everywhere else. Indonesia is a bit more interesting, but it's not the first time. So for example, Amazon Cloud, they actually launched in Indonesia after Singapore because the amount and the startup community down there. So yeah. So the next one is, anybody runs a Linux server?
Oh yeah.
So
sure, ask away.
So you know about the Grub2 vulnerability?
Oh yeah, how about it? What do you call it? Boot. There's a name for it, right? They call
boot hole.
Boot hole.
yeah, which is horrible name, but a few if some of the Red Hat user have problem booting into the system after applying the patch. So yeah, there's that. Then finally we have on my list that's interesting is la 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 Flutter 1.2.
You forgot to talk about the satellite thing as well.
Oh, Nyanset. Nyanset is interesting, but it's not new. It's new in a way that that aim to make satellite communication from software-defined radio easier. But the software SDR community have been doing this for a while actually. So if you look at the SDR software-defined radio community, they do quite a few things. 3 years back, they actually revived an old satellite, an old deep space satellite, using software-defined radio technology, but they had to use a big antenna, so they had to use the software and plug it to the Arecibo Observatory. And if you notice, quite a number of the software development community actually process satellite signal from satellite, NOAA satellite. This is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration of the US. So it's something that already done, but the setup for it had been custom for each project, I'll put it this way. So it's not easiest for people to do. So Nyanset is interesting in a way that it will standardize a platform for satellite hackers to actually use this technology for processing satellite signal around the world.
So let's, I think that's about it, right? For the update. Yeah, let's go to the meat of the show.
Yes. So, Iszuddin, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do. Then we go.
I'm gonna read myself and make.
Yeah.
All right.
So
okay.
So, yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Baik. Good evening. Selamat malam. So this is when you guys do your program at 10 at night on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
As you can see there, my name is Iszuddin Ismail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I previously, one of my longest gig was I was kind of like CTO or lead developer at an ebook company called ECentral, which is still about. It is if you want to find like local titles, local ebooks, kan bahasa Melayu, even English, all in ebook format on your phone, on your mobile devices, on your computer. These are not PDF. It's kind of like Kindle. You can go to e-central.com, SENTRAL.com, where they have kind of a bunch of ebook titles there, more than 100,000, I think. So that was one of my longest gig, about 8 years more or less, before I left about 2 years ago. And even before that, I was doing this thing called JomWeb. JomWeb is kind of like a web developer. It's not a web developer, it's kind of like a programmer community. But we also say that it is for anybody who's IT enthusiast or even the UI designers, UI UX designers, or even you're a no-code kind of guy, no-code MVP kind of guy, doesn't matter. As long as hardware stuff is fine, API stuff is fine, web is fine, anything is fine, anything programming is fine in JomWeb. Right? So, yeah. So I've been doing that, and also for the past few years, I kind of like joined this association called NEF, or long for, that is short, long for Persatuan Usahawan dan Industri ICT Bumi Putra Malaysia, short NEF. Because previously, before we registered the association, my senior, when they registered the association, before they do that, they call themselves New Entrepreneurs Forum, because they go around at Starbucks, Coffee Bean and whatnot, do kind of like sembang tarik, kind of like what we do right now. But they do that at Starbucks and Coffee Bean, stuff like that lah. And when they registered, you have to follow the ROS naming convention. What is this? This is a persatuan. Persatuan apa? Persatuan usahawan. Usahawan apa? Usahawan ICT. Is it everybody or is it bumi saja? Bumi saja. La 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 la. So you get the long name. So which is currently in which I happen to be the president lah. So on the side, I also run my own company called Timing Tech. We do custom software development. We do training related to programming, mostly for the government. Like that lah.
Okay, cool. So one of the thing which is actually relevant to a background and all that, because I heard that, I mean, we'll ask about John Webb, there's so many things to ask from that, but let's start with the thing that I asked about, because according to my friend and all that, is one person behind Malaysian Tech First movement, right?
All right.
Can you tell us about that more?
Okay. Malaysian Tech First is we try to push this campaign, so to say, it's in a way like apa, belilah barangan buatan Malaysia kan. In a way, it is something like that, but it is more focused for the IT industry, for the ICT products that our local Malaysians develop and launch in the market. Yeah. So what we're trying to do, one is trying to raise awareness so that we try to get the public, even the government, to support our local companies, local products. Number one, the awareness, and number two, we also try to showcase our friends within the industry so that people are more aware about these companies, about the exciting, innovating, great, awesome products that they have developed. Yeah, so those are kind of like the gist of it.
So what lead? So I know so you just got to go back. What lead you suddenly? What leads to the campaign to actually start? Because
right.
The thing is, we know there is a software industry in Malaysia, but outside our circle, almost nobody would take Malaysian product as the first thing in their mind, right?
As the first option.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not the first thing. So what leads to the So we know that, but what leads to that? Because the issue is there for a while. You know what I mean?
Obviously, because how the market is lah, kan, and even furthermore with the MCO, the quarantine and everything that has been going around for the past few months, and when we have been saying a lot about kita jaga kita, whereby we try to support the local industry, kan, support your local hawker, support your local product manufacturers, kan. Why else? People are not very aware when it comes to the IT. So that is one of the reasons. Apart from that, of course, being in this society, this association in these industries, so to say, I've got to know quite a number of really great entrepreneurs, great friends who develop really awesome products, doing really, really well. But then again, the general public does not really know much about them, or even the general business people, when it comes to finding a solution for their businesses, it's not the first option that comes to mind. So that's some of the reasons why. Of course, more or less, you know that this has been going on for quite a number of years already. It's kind of like it's in our culture, barang import, kan? Where you praise the BMW, the Bugatti over Proton, kan? Well, that's pro and cons to it. Tapi wherever I'm okay when people opted for imported products, but it should not be. How should I put it? I'm fine if really
you need to aware that it exists. Kena tahu dia ada lah.
Right.
Yes.
At least you have to know about this, and it was among your options that you considered. Okay lah, by the end of the day, I think this is better for my company. Fine, I'm
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but one of the thing is, it's not the first. The thing is, there is thinking that there's actually multiple things that comes from that as well. Right? First thing is Malaysia. The first thought among, in fact, it's actually from the Malaysian Employer Federation that Malaysian don't have talent, which annoys the hell out of me because I run PyCon for a few years until this year. We always see Malaysian giving very good talk and all that. Obviously, we already seen that Malaysian have talent. We are capable of doing things, right? Is that one of the factors that leads to there's no trust because there's a perception that Malaysian don't have skill? What do you think about that part?
I think Malaysia do have skills.
Yeah, we do have skill, right? But the
There
perception
are many reasons and many things happening in the country. Of course, some of it you always blame the government. To some extent, it is true. Some are maybe the market situation itself. The talent always try to find better options, better pay, and whatnot, right? In some cases, I think there are really good companies who are doing really well, can give you really good pay, but the majority of the businesses in Malaysia may not be able to give better compensation lah.
Yeah, but as a result for that, does it means that do you actually observe that as a result the quality of product made in Malaysia doesn't there's a perception as a result because we don't always get the best people due to salary and whatnot. There's a perception that we won't get the best product out from Malaysian company.
Well, not necessarily. Talent is one thing, but also there's also this one thing I think that also needs to be addressed into the companies itself, right? It's about talent, and secondly, it's also about the things that we put out. Generally, I think Malaysian companies still put things like aesthetics, user experience, and stuff like that very secondary. It's not a number one priority. You put customer experience as secondary. Therefore, you put out subpar products, right? You always focus on sales. We have to make money. We have to ship it out now and stuff like that. Well, so it's the culture in the company itself. Also, I think the talent that we have are good enough. Okay, of course you can always get. Of course, there's always going to be somebody better, right? But the talent that you have is good enough, and to produce really good products. But the company culture has to also appreciate aesthetics, user experience, and stuff like that. When you do that, when the products that you put out are being appreciated better by the customers, so that's how it is perceived that you really have a good product, right?
Correct. Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, in most cases, the products, when it comes to IT products, when it comes to IT products, it's not that it is really, feature-wise, it's not really that great, some of that, but it performs the things that it's supposed to do really well, right?
Yes.
And that is the one being perceived as a really good product. It's not that it is the product that can do everything, right?
Yes, but the customer always asks for more and more thing to do. So unfortunately, the way we do our business is a bit bad in a way that we tend to sell features. We sell like, okay, we deliver you 10 features, then you buy kami like berapa, right? It's like, okay, 5 feature, then we come back and be like, suddenly the boss like, tambah satu lagi lah. Right? We have that problem as well. So and that
something like that, when that is always the case when you are building custom projects, custom things for customers. So to say, something like when it comes to consulting lah. Generally, it's consulting. I think building custom software for clients, that is also I consider consulting as well. So dealing with clients doing consulting, they will always be trying to squeeze more time out of the deal, or squeeze more features out of the deal, or try to get more out of you, right? So I don't know, but that has to be the best way to manage that is being able to manage people and being able to manage project well. So there's no way around it. Some people, even though it is in the contract this way and that way, but they still try to push it lah, sikit aja, boleh lah, this one free. But then again, if it's not just having it on paper, written down black and white, but there's also that people skill component, right? How you manage people, how you know, somehow when that's always this thing when trying to sell something, somebody can sell. One guy tries to sell the same thing to the same person, another guy's trying to do the same. One will fail, one will succeed. So it's the same thing when you are managing a project and managing a client. If the sale has been made, but then again, when it comes to managing the project itself, some people will be able to manage conflicts better, will be able to manage the client better, right?
Yes. But the thing is, this kind of culture also goes into your sales pitch. Let's say you go to your pitch to a startup competition, you are competing at features, right? I begin to see that. I begin to see that in some of the startup competition, there is the product person wants to sell like as much thing as possible, as much bell and whistle as well, right? So that's why I'm thinking that that kind of culture of a bit more, that actually bleeds into the startup environment, right?
Right. Well, it's like the salespeople versus the developers, right? Go and sell this thing now. I have to bill. I guess that is something generally I think companies have to improve on, and also the client also have to improve on or something like that as well.
Correct.
With that, of course they will shop around lah, kan? They will shop around. This vendor can do this company can do this for me, and that company can do this. But then again, you also have to consider what is it that you're asking for and how much you're paying it for.
I think the idea of product management in Malaysia is just not there yet, because it's like I want more button instead that I want this button to work well. It's like okay. So I'm going to go segue a little. Do you as an association, the NEF, have you actually tried to actually improve the company that you actually engage with, or the members of your association is already on that kind of thinking already?
Well, honestly, getting all these questions, it's something that I think about out of the moment, right? We've never honestly do something like this where we try to educate our members and stuff like that. Most of the time, we get inquiries about certain issues and certain problems and stuff like that. We try to address that. Same goes with why we launched Malaysian Tech First, right? And even there are some other issues that we try to engage the government with it as well. Like one of the example, few years back, there's this grant for advertising. I think it was for MITI or Madrid or something like that. When you advertise, you can claim back some of the money spent for advertisement. And when that grant goes out, online advertising was not claimable, was not being considered into the grant. So we went and talked, and then later on they allowed online advertisement. So we are trying to engage the government on some other issues as well
Right.
currently, which I may not. I'm going to reserve that what that
Okay,
is.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
but
the focus of the association is on smoothing the process than educating. So that's what the focus for now, lah. Is that what you
yes,
mean?
that's for now.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
what else? Of course, among the associations, among the council members are really great, awesome, talented, successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think maybe this is not to say bad about my seniors whatnot, but this is
Yeah.
among the best lineup of council members we have so far. We have
Yeah.
Nadir from the Lorry. We
Yeah.
have Izairi from Zepto Express. We
Yeah.
have Yusno from Evanescence. Suno
Okay.
is yeah. So um, we always talk about among ourselves about what we can do
Yeah.
like, for the industry, for the members. Sometimes
Yeah.
some things that we do, of course, it's being announced and broadcast to the members first,
Yeah.
but some of the programs that we do are kind of open, right? Maybe there may be a ticket, so those who want to come can come.
Yeah. Okay. So let's back to the Malaysian tech first. On the initiative, is it just a Facebook thing or it is a website as well?
Currently, we have the domain reserved, but currently
Yeah.
it's the easiest thing that we can start off with, which is the Facebook page.
Yeah.
So with the Facebook page, of course, that's the logo, and then we started off with the apa ni, profile frame,
Yeah.
right? So
Okay.
the profile frame, well, I'm seeing it being picked up by our local technopreneurs,
Yeah.
updating their. That's where it started off lah.
Okay. So I think there's a base. Okay. I'm going to be honest. I think there's a base opportunity because this Berdeka this Berdeka month, and we have 1.5 month until Malaysia Day. I mean, Merdeka month plus 16 days.
Oh,
right?
Merdeka Man, all right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
a perfect time. This is a perfect time to have a website,
Thank
a
you very
catalog.
much. Yes, that is a
So-
good suggestion.
Yes, we need. So one thing that is one of my old thing that I never got to do is we need a catalog at this time. At this moment, this is the perfect time to have a catalog of Malaysian made product, right? So
Right.
it links to. So in fact, one of the lost opportunity for last year. Again, this is a bit different. This is a game industry. I didn't do recorded. Is that I went to the MDEC had a game development thing happening at KLCC last year, and there's a showcase of Malaysian game. I played them and they're really good. So it would be good that those things are in the catalog, in the album of like, okay, this is made by Malaysia. Click here to try. You know what I mean? There is an opportunity down there. I think we should really do it. You know what I mean? Because
I think that was Level Up, if I'm not mistaken, by MDEC.
yeah. But the thing is, to bring the concept over is that okay, so we have category, for example, game. Click here for demo, Steam link, or app made by Malaysian. Go here for whatever, or ECentral get your this is where you get ebook. So the thing is, we should have that. You know what I mean? Because this is the perfect time. This is the perfect time for Merdeka Month to actually showcase that okay, we are capable of doing all these things. This is what it is, right? So
Yeah, I think
it's a
good
opportunity.
it's definitely a good opportunity. We'll have to go back and plan something really quickly. We were to take a ride on this opportunity. I see
Yeah.
Audit sending a comment.
Yeah, we call it big. Hi. Odin is always here all the time.
Let's make a directory. Yeah, we have been thinking about doing that. We may do that. We've been planning for that. We will start with those that we know. Of course, definitely our NAF members, but we will also include others because I think everybody, if we have a good product, it's locally made. You use local talents. It's not something you outsource to Kerala. So those deserve to be known, and definitely you are doing really well outside of Malaysia and whatnot, but please allow us to consider you as our heroes, right?
Correct. And in fact, practically, it's a good thing because when we know you, we want to work with you in Thailand. It's just so many things, right? But main thing is that, okay, this is my personal thing. I just hate it when some politician says Malaysian don't have talent.
Something that was recently, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, you feel sick to your gut listening to that, knowing about that. Whereby at the same time we have really good companies. We have macam mana among our council members is also Run Cloud, Arif Kukiman.
Cloud is well known.
Yeah, I mean, he has always also been very generous when it comes to giving advice or supporting local events or even though to some extent he may not, if you were to not do that, there's no problem at all, right? Because most of this, I think maybe 80-90% of his customer base are not even Malaysian, but he's always he is always very generous to come and talk to people locally, local events, whatnot. Apart from that, there's also 123RF and the whole stack of products that they have, Designs AI, whatnot. We also have CWorks. CWorks is CMMC, something about vehicle maintenance software. Of course, we all know about PictoChart.
Yeah.
Those are really good products.
Yeah, precisely. So I'm going to move on a segue. That's what I do here, segue. But how does job launch, which is another thing that you involve in, leads to this mission? Is it a different mission or is it actually a very similar mission? It's a same mission plus a lot more things.
Job launch. Okay, let me. I think we have to go back a little bit and explain how Job launch started. Job launch started as kind of like a developer program, whereby this friend of mine. It started by this friend of mine in Jomweb, where he has a project. You know, every time you do, almost every developer will have a side project of their own, which never get launched. But then again, when you are doing something for a client, you are doing it to the last minute, where you have exhibition tomorrow morning, all right? And you burn the midnight oil and come on the day, open the gate, your booth is there, your product is ready, right? But you can never do that for yourself. One of the reasons is maybe because of the lack of deadline. So Job Launch started to give our developer friends, or among our friends themselves, kind of like a deadline, so that you finish your project, and maybe we can launch together. So that's why we call it Job Launch. But as years go by, it's not just about launching. You don't want to launch, that is fine, or something that you've launched a few years back, which is also fine. We allow developers and even companies to showcase projects that they have developed, because we want to showcase the good and awesome talents that we have, and the things that we have built, the things that we can build. What I like to do is always, I like to showcase our great talents that we have, the great companies, the great projects that we have. To some, one of the reasons is this, for the masses, right? When you see something like that, and you see this is a Malaysian, this is a local company, wow, they did awesome stuff, and then you start to think that probably this is something that is possible for you as well. Right, so I want to start. That's why we do Job Launch. We want to start to push down that kind of thinking into the masses, so that you see, and that's also why some of the projects are not really big projects. Yeah, not polished. Some are not polished. Some are not really big, but they have potential, and the technology behind it is kind of like awesome for one guy to do, right? So that's why we do Job Launch.
Yeah, but how long? Job Launch exists for how many years already?
Wait, let me think. I used to have I have a slide for that. I think we started. I have to refer back to my slide because I don't
Yeah.
remember everything. But this, if we do Jom launch this year, it will be the 9th, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
But it's not been 9 years. It's been maybe 7 years,
Right.
because the
Okay.
first 2 years we did Jom launch twice a year.
Okay.
So Jom launch 1, Jom launch 2 is in the same year. Jom launch 3 and Jom launch 4 is on the next year after that. And then we grew tired. I think this is too much to do twice a year, so we start doing it once a year only after that.
Okay. Okay. So throughout the years, do you see a lot of the one-person developer, the independent developers, or you see more companies?
Lately, we're starting to see more companies,
Okay.
but
Okay.
there's also uh, single developers, solo
Yeah.
developers. It's
Yeah. Okay. The network. Oh, is it my network? Okay. Is my network? Hello.
I don't know. Did you guys lose me?
Okay. Give me a while.
Okay, am I
The
back?
network just cut off. Yeah, you're back. You're back.
It's Iszuddin's network.
Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe it's mine.
Yeah. You can set it. You
It's fine
can
now.
set under.
It's fine now.
Uh,
It's fine now. It's fine now.
so it's mostly company now with some independent developers like the solo dev.
It's almost
So
50 and 50 now. It's half and half.
right.
With the projects that we have, yeah.
Okay. So what kind of project are being shown? Can you talk about that? So for example, is it is it web or mobile? Is it a marketplace or whatever? So what kind of trend do you see among the job launch recently?
We are, of course, definitely. I don't know. Maybe because it's easier to do, we see a lot of web actually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
along the way, we have seen a robot, right? We
Yeah.
have this remote control agricultural kind of like a robot
Okay.
tank. Yeah, the
Yeah.
small robot thingy. It's called Farmer Robot. We have seen
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, we have Run Cloud.
Yeah.
We also have this. What else? There are a lot of projects. I'm trying to recall some of the good ones, some of the really awesome ones. Uh, there are also like marketplace, like Command was on it.
Uh-huh.
There are some community project as well.
Yeah.
Like we
Okay.
have this. Um, there's this school for
Okay.
autistic children, and
Right.
they developed this kind of like progress book for schools, right?
Yeah.
For your kid at school, and because
Yeah.
how the things that you need to report for an autistic child is
Mhm.
different rather than the normal kids at school.
Mhm.
Uh, so this guy developed what do you call it? Buku komunikasi lah, buku komunikasi.
Yeah.
So that was a mobile app being used by the teachers, by the parents, which
Okay.
give you better progress. Yeah, there's a mix of community project as well.
Okay.
It's
Cool.
community project as well. That was funded by the parents and funded by the public.
Right.
Apa lagi eh? Bamboo Robot is
Okay.
one of the things that you can't forget. Oh, there's also this guy in the last one.
Yeah.
Of course, this is a commercial project, but it's their own R&D,
Yeah.
whereby do you know in the hospital in the ICU you see all these
Yeah.
monitor devices being
Yeah.
attached to a patient, and you see all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just for the heartbeat; it also monitors blood pressure and other stuff and stuff, right? So
Yeah.
those devices are mostly uh, what's the word? It's solo by itself. It's not connected to anything. It's
Okay.
just
Okay.
connected.
It's not network connected. Right.
Yeah, it's not network
It's not
connected.
network.
Right. So if you were to know the progress or the situation, the condition of the patient, you have to go into the room and see the monitor. But this guy, this company developed something that they tap into it and then relay the data via network into a server. And now you can have kind of like a whole monitor, a whole set of
The
monitors
dashboard lah.
with patient. It's almost like
Yeah.
CCTV, but for your patient. So you can have the
Okay.
nurse sitting at one room, saying, "Oh, my patient, this room is okay, this is okay. Oh, is something happening here," and uh, 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 you can go make the rounds. They still do make the rounds, but at least they can respond better now. So that was Nexo Prima. Wait,
Yeah.
was it Nexo Prima? Nexo something. I know it's Nexo
Okay.
something.
Right.
Um,
So it's also a project with all sort of thing, and a lot of it is, from what I see, surprisingly advanced. So to show that it's actually, and a lot of it are actually made by Malaysians itself. So
right.
it's very interesting project from what I heard. So how many of those actually launch, or they already launched on before that actually?
Some
How
already launched before they got into Jom launch. Some
Yeah.
are just a personal project and
Yeah.
nothing really happened to it. We try our best. Oh yeah, we try our best. Also with now with any F connection, if
Yeah.
we can try and help make connections to other business for them to prosper, for them to grow, we do our best. We do what we can. For example, Run Cloud itself launched at Jom launch. I mean, of course, it was made for developers. The Jom launch, Jom web community really loves it. Uh, uh, that is one example. Wherever we can pass them on, we do. And then there's also, if I remember, we have InstaWeb.
Yeah.
InstaWeb is kind of like a web builder, but you use your Facebook page, kind of like take stuff from your Facebook page and build your website. That is InstaWeb. We help them. We help reach them with TM. I think the Yellow Pages arm of the TM business. They have some kind of relation with that. Yeah. So
Okay.
they took off from there.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, but of course there are also those. We have this one master student, kind of like built with some machine learning, cameras, TV, whatnot, right? And being put at the security booth of the your housing area. Kan?
Yeah.
So most housing area nowadays ada security, ada Pak Guard kan. So he has the camera there, and with his AI machine learning, it will log activities like this car, this plate number came in, this car, this plate number came out, stuff like that. One guy came in, one guy goes out, and stuff like that. It will help you log that. So instead of going through the footage, right? If something happens, instead of going through the footage, you can go through the log first. So we try to connect that with whoever we can now. We try here and there, but somehow or other, maybe the developer himself does not have that confidence. We try to push him as much as we can. So the last thing that I can recall, nothing really happened.
But so do you also connect the developers to investors as well?
Well, generally, here's what happens to at Jom launch. Okay, we don't formally do that, right? But we are hoping that if there are any agencies who do come, any VCs who do come, if you see potential, it's all yours. We don't try to interfere. We don't try to. But generally, here's what I can say. What happens to at Jom launch? Some opportunities, right? One, maybe if you are looking for an early startup or early stage companies that with projects that may have the potential, something may happen there, right? Sometimes, for example, this one example, Mesolithica, Malaya. Malaya is an
natural language, Hussein kan?
Yes, natural
integration before.
based on Bahasa Melayu. It was first released at Jom Launch as an open source, and then he found a partner who kind of took it off with a registered company called Mesolotica. So the developer can really focus on doing development. So one thing, there are a few things that can happen. As a company, maybe you found venture partners, maybe you found your CEO or your CTO or something like that. So that's one thing that can happen. And also as a developer, as you are networking or maybe you are on stage showcasing your project, maybe your project didn't take off or didn't go anywhere. But then again, there are cases whereby he or she may have been recruited as CTO, recruited as into some other companies. And another thing that can happen is sometimes you land yourself a freelance gig lah. So those are the three things that could happen at Jom Launch. And if it happens to you, then good for you. We don't try to interfere or minta bagilah commission sikit. But we may like go back next year kan. You did so well, sponsor lah sikit this year. So that means
that given because it kind of give that platform, right? So yeah, no, you don't have to, but it's really nice to.
Yeah.
So Odin was sharing a few of the company, really impressive. Then of course you have Malaya. There's a Malaya. You need to look at one of. So for the audience that want to know what is Malaya, you need to watch some of a few episodes, quite long. One of our earlier interview to Hussein. So it's it's a deep learning based framework for Malay language. It's very impressive, and he actually get a lot of download actually. So.
Right.
So that's Malaya.
You can do if you are really into it. You can use it to listen to conversation, audio conversation, and the computer can start to understand what it is, what is it about. You can feed text into it, an article or anything or whatnot, and then kind of like give yourself a summary of things. And all this is for Bahasa Melayu, it's for the Malay language. From what I understand, Hussein is also trying to understand dialects, right? Because Bahasa Melayu, there are dialects and some are really different from one another.
Yes, I know. I was in public university, and I'm a Malay person, and the dialect is impressive, and that's why I know how to speak Kelantan.
I think there's many use cases where people can start to use Malaya, or maybe engage the company itself, Mesolotica. You see nowadays people are using more and more chat way of selling things and closing sales. In chat, you can start to use the Malaya engine to maybe understand and respond better. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do with Malaya.
So is there actually I know Odin actually shares some link for Jom Launch, but is there actually a list of previous participant and all that in it?
We still have the website from last year for last year's project that gets to be on stage. That is still on the website, which is Odin Chat. It's now launch.jomweb.my. I think it's due time. We may need to kind of like put up a list of all the projects that was on Jom Launch at any point.
So we're getting a bit late now, but I know that this year you tried to have one at Jom Launch Asia, which is actually a bigger one and got cancelled. Let's talk about Jom Launch Asia. Then we're going to cover how COVID actually impact Jom Launch.
What was the plan? What will happen?
All right. So what is Jom Launch Asia?
Now, Jom Launch Asia is something we've been doing Jom Launch for a few years now, and I thought maybe it's time that we take it up to another level. So we still see this hesitation among our local developers to launch something globally, right? To just launch something online on the internet like Run Cloud did. You know how I know him personally, and you know how Arif Tukiman, his English was, right? Of course, he speaks a lot better now, being on the international stage. But we have that inferior
Coaching.
complex, right?
Oh, inferiority complex.
It was not a problem for Arif Tukiman, even though how his English was.
Yes.
So
Okay,
what I
yeah.
was trying to do with Jom Launch Asia was
Yeah.
to bring international speakers so that they international speakers, international developers who kind of like launch a business, launch a project online, and maybe they can share their stories, and hoping from that, you know, somehow Jom Web and Jom Launch is always about us learning from each other. But
Yeah.
how about now? Because we do really have really great talents, great teachers that can really teach us something. But of
Yeah.
course, there's also something else that we can learn from outside people as well. So what I was trying to
Of
do is
course.
bring all these other developers who launch an IT project, IT business online, and
Yeah.
hoping that maybe when it's closer, we can learn better from them. So
Yeah.
I confirmed some speakers, but of course we cancelled the event.
Yeah.
Before we did, we confirmed like Takuya Matsuyama, who is the
Yeah.
developer of InkDrop.
Yeah.
It's a note-taking app based on Markdown format,
Yeah.
and I also confirmed Kyle Gowley, which is the kind of like a developer of a SaaS framework based on,
Yeah.
wait, I forgot what it's based on. It's maybe Django or Ruby. I don't remember, or maybe
Yeah.
something else.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
using he himself has helped a number of other entrepreneurs launch their own software as a service. I think around
Yeah.
300 other software as a service entrepreneurs based on his framework. Um, I also confirm an Indonesian guy, Asid Bagja. Of course, I had him once on my own talk show, something like that, something like this that we're doing right now. Asid has kind of like a farm monitoring system based on IoT and whatnot. You have
Oh, I
sensors.
know him.
Huh?
I think I
His
know him.
yeah, his system is called Tanya. It's open source, and there's also from that open source version, he gets a lot of international client asking for
Yeah.
customization. There's also a client in Sweden, I think, who use his
Yeah.
system to monitor kind of like a indoor farm in a very
Yeah.
controlled environment, growing marijuana, which is fine
Okay.
if
Okay.
it's
Okay.
legal. It's legal in some countries.
We won't
Yeah,
judge. We don't judge.
right. So.
So. Mhm.
So those are some of the people I confirmed to be speakers, but sadly we have
Yeah.
to cancel due to
Yeah.
many uncertainties.
Yeah.
Back a few
Yes.
months back,
Understand.
when we started the PKP, the
Yeah.
MCO.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Correct. So, so I also found out that you actually posted on uh, Pengaturan Rap UX. So the group, right? You actually announced an
oh yeah,
online
yeah.
version of a Jom Red Launch. So is that official or is just something you have on your mind?
Wait, I don't really understand. I
No,
posted
no.
something. What?
You posted about online version of Jom Launch.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
was just trying. Okay, we have this group called Jomweb on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. You
Yeah.
go facebook.com/group/Jomweb. You will find this group. But of course, there you will find that the name is pengatur caraan laman web dan UI UX or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That is the web group, and I was
Yeah.
trying to get a feel of how people would take it. People are still interested to have job launch this year, in which we didn't really plan for. So I was trying to gather some inputs or some feedbacks or of whether or not to do job launch this year. So far, things are looking positive. We may, I mean, I not announcing that we are, but we
Yeah.
may do one this year, but it may be a virtual concept where kind of like a virtual event, virtual conference.
Yeah.
But how we do it, we have so many ideas.
Okay.
Some are really great one, even including. I'm not saying that we are going to do this, but it's kind of like an interesting idea, kind of like doing it with a 360 camera, maybe. You know what? You know, like having like the speaker up front
Yeah.
and maybe a 360 camera, and you can join from home with a um, goggle
Yeah. Okay,
thing.
I understand.
That would be cool, right?
Yeah,
So
that'd
those
be
are,
interesting.
but
So
I'm not
okay,
sure how we're going to do
how
it.
go?
And to get people engaged, we may have like other side events happening on the side. I mean, if you
Right.
participate like this and like that, we may
Yeah.
have like a contest running during the event,
Yes.
just to get things exciting. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it'll be just like another TV show.
Yeah. You don't want to. Yeah, I understand. So okay, so that may happen, but that you're still waiting for feedback and all that lah.
Right, and it's still in the works
Yeah.
lah, kan. Apa
Yeah. Correct. Understand.
we're considering the resources that we have, the volunteers that we
Yes.
have. Are we getting
Yes.
sponsors or not? Are we selling
Totally.
tickets or not? We still are putting things together. Until the
Yes.
official announcement, I dare not say lah.
Yeah, it happens. But yeah, I would be interested though because from the company that you show a lot of interesting project.
Yeah, and
Well,
if we
I had to
really
share
get
this because Sean was here.
we also if really get really good projects, right?
Yeah,
We have to think of a way to where we do them justice when we showcase them, even virtually.
yeah, yes. Because one of the cool thing about real life event is that you can play with it in front of
Right,
you and you engage properly. Yeah,
right.
that's actually what I miss about real conference. So I mean I feel a bit bad because until this year I stopped doing it this year. PyCon Malaysia also had this problem, and
Oh
the
yeah,
team
Python
decided
was
to do it.
supposed to happen. The
Okay.
date that we selected for Job launch initially clashed with PyCon, which was happened was
Yeah. Yeah.
right. It was supposed to happen
So
again.
yeah, it happened online now. We have some
Oh,
good speaker. That's what I heard. We will have it. We may have the creator of Python itself.
oh
It's,
wow.
yeah, it's online, so it's easy. Apparently, they managed to do it, so I don't know how. Because I'm out of the scene, but they plan for it and they have it in September.
September.
I don't remember.
Is
Yeah,
that the same
Sep-
date? I think it was 26th September. If it was supposed to be, if that's the same date, it should be 26th or maybe 22nd September. Is that right?
it's September 12th to 20th. So I
I
do
think
not know
one
how
of
they do
the
it.
one guy we had at job launch was this guy, which is a strong supporter of Python and also PyCon
Yeah,
Malaysia, which is
yeah.
Iqbal Abdullah, which
Oh,
is a
I know
guy
Iqbal. Yeah,
I'm proud to talk about.
yeah. So Iqbal is actually one of the guys that is actually again he's based in Japan, but the development
Right,
team, I know his development team very talented. Kamal is a very good
right.
supporter of junior developers. He always been teach. I don't think mentor full time, but he do help online lah. So I
Hmm.
noticed. So yeah, I know his team. So I know him for a while. So yeah, Iqbal is one of the surprise. Not many people know him, but he
Yeah.
had a company in Japan that is reasonably successful with a Malaysian development team that is hidden somewhere
I
around.
do know this also. There's also this development team
Yeah,
supporting a US software as a service business, which
yeah,
develops vet clinic software.
yeah. It definitely exists, but I do not know where are they. But it exists. Swift, one of the PyCon sponsor in Malaysia is actually Swift, the company that do
Oh,
Swift code.
wow.
The
Oh, all
development
right.
team is Malaysia actually, and
You mean
nobody
the
really
Swift
noticed.
banking code?
Yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah,
that
yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they actually did a recruitment, didn't work out for them, too bad. But the
Oh,
development team is in Malaysia, so it's also funny because they try to find people, but they're Java shop and they're Python conference, so,
oh,
so we get
oh, that's
involved.
Java shop as well. All right, all right.
Yeah.
How
Uh,
if
so
I ask you this, I mean, um,
uh-huh.
if I may ask you this about Python, how do you think Python is when it comes to the Malaysian developer
uh,
community?
Okay, put it this way lah. Python in Malaysia is very well hidden. 10 tahun saya dalam industri, tak pernah saya menganggur sebab tak ada orang guna Python. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, seriously, I'm serious. So Python in Malaysia is hidden, but very well supported. So you just, they won't tell you that they use a Python, but if you're a Python developer and you have something to show, for example, on LinkedIn, and you have project to show and all that, they will find you. And especially
it's
now,
almost like this, I think, because maybe when you say it's hidden to some extent, maybe because it's not as that big, maybe almost
no.
like any Python developer will know another Python developer in Malaysia. Is that the case?
Yeah. It used to be in the 2000s. We tried to hire each other. Not anymore. Nowadays, we actually have a bigger talent pool. Data science is one. And from there they actually expand, and also it's very interesting. Also, is that the Python guys are system people. The original Python guys in Malaysia are system people. So we don't actually say that we use Python. We use Python because we know how to integrate with our system. So it's interesting in a way, but we actually grow. So the first time we do Python conference, 75 people. Now we can easily up to 100, 200 people at one time.
Oh wow.
Even though it's because our ticket is a bit expensive,
Yeah. I know how much it is.
Yes, it's not something that you will pay on your own. But 200 at that price, I still call it it's still growing. So that's the interesting thing. So Python developers is there. In fact, F-Secure used to hire Python developers for their QA things and all that.
F-Secure?
F-Secure, Intel have it, to support the development. They don't officially announce it, but they do use it. So etc. So those
I think
exist.
almost when it comes to like the bigger enterprise solution, to some level, for some other purpose, they have some Python work going on somewhere somehow.
Correct. So in the big industry, the traditional industry, you have two type level. Application development is still Java. Then SME level, slightly below here, it might be .NET, still big. But on these two levels, where they do financial processing, let's say they do analysis, they are switching from SAS to something that's open source. Most costs. SAS are not fast. They are very slow. So, and it's also very expensive. So they actually have an option between R and Python. And it turns out that for some reason Python are selected. I suspect the reason is because integration is easy. So R is a bit hard to integrate. It can work, but it's a bit hard.
When it comes to Python, having listened to what you have said just now, Python crosses so many more levels of development and industries. I mean, of course, you hear PHP almost quite everywhere now.
Yeah.
But when you talk about PHP, in most cases, maybe 90% of the time, it's all about web development.
WordPress.
Right? WordPress, of course, and general web development, Laravel, or something for the web. When you talk about Python, there's the financial industry, there's the integration, there's maybe, I don't know, embedded.
Correct. But you need to understand that a lot of Malaysian company only require website. Not all Malaysian company are doing analysis at this level. This exists, and not so. Even when you do your mobile application, you're not going to use Python all the time, but it exists. So the thing is, it's very interesting in the way that Django is not the first choice for Malaysian startup.
Oh yeah,
I find it very interesting. It's not the first choice. You will find a few people who choose to do it, and that's awesome. Because Fashion Valley, one of the big company in Malaysia, because it's by Marcus. Marcus is a long time Python guy. He actually used Python since 90s. Okay, late 90s.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. So
If Pascal stay as if people will still be using Pascal.
Python. So, but I was 14, so I heard that. Oh, I was 14. So
Interesting
let's
thing
see.
to know about what Python can do and what people have been using it for. Generally, I
Yeah.
don't really. What I hate to see is that when people always compare, this is better than that, that is better than this.
Don't
Well,
do that. Yeah.
when we go at when it comes to Jom launch, when it comes to Jom web, I always say you want to
Yes.
compare, you can compare, which is fine.
Yeah,
But by the end of
correct.
the day, I always like to see what you have built with it,
Yes,
right?
correct.
It's the
So
most
in
important
fact,
thing.
one of the company I used to work with that make this mistake, I believe I won't name names, but they're business person. They're not technical founders. So the thing is, they talk to an agency that built their website in Django, which I think is the worst idea. So now the agents, now that they do not know, these business guys do not know where to find Django people. So they're kind of being tied to the agency, right? Worst idea.
Uh-huh.
Whereas as a business, it's better for you to build it in WordPress, and there is no harm in building in WordPress. There is no lose of your face, right?
Right.
In fact, they want to build a subscription service. WordPress and a plugin, get someone and all that, and it's fine. Deliver something out,
Right.
and
Right.
so that's the thing. Like, there's no macho when it comes to software development. In startup, you have to deliver, right? So if you deliver in WordPress, cool, you get something done. I respect that, and that is awesome, right? And there is also, you want to show that you're technically capable, awesome, show me. Hussein is the type where he show his technical capability. I respect that. Then I may not agree with how who do things. There's a few, for example, I may not agree with how the Ruby guys do things, but that's fine. They deliver, and that's more important, right? So it's not about. There's no. Occasionally, you
Right and
just
wrong.
don't bother with it. What you want to do,
Right.
deliver. So
Right.
that's my thing, lah. So,
True.
but Python, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just I always
So
like to know about this community, that community, who's in there,
yeah,
who's in what you use for, what has been built. I always like to know about what are available in the market. It's always something
yeah,
interesting
definitely,
to talk
definitely.
about.
I have also this interest, but I like to see a bit like more of like anthropologies type of thing. I like to see the culture. I like to see the culture of developers. WordPress people is very different than your Laravel people. Okay, but your
What?
Laravel people is different from your .NET people, and even your
Ah,
.NET people you have banyak basap lah, kan? Know what I mean? Because everybody are thinking differently. Then once you have a Java guy, then you talk to them and realize that why the hell you do things that way, because they have their own way they develop over the years. So that's my thing.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
but it's more than 11 already. So
Yeah.
anything you want to talk about? Final words you want to say about whatever you talk about before we go on?
Well, the things that I do is all in Jom Web, all in Jom
Yeah.
Launch, and
Yeah.
NEF. Right now, we have the Malaysian Tech First.
Yeah.
I thank you for the opportunity to be in this program, and also the idea about riding this opportunity with the Merdeka month, which is this month, right? So we
Yes.
all should be flying our Jalur Gemilang, and
Yeah.
maybe we will also consider riding that wave and
Yeah.
pushing Malaysian first further. And also, I
Yeah.
hope to get all the support for this so that we
Yes.
can support our local economy and kita jaga tinggi
Yeah.
kita.
Yes, precisely. And that's all. So if you're interested in what Iszuddin is doing, find Jom Web and Jom Launch and NEF. You'll find him there, talk to them. And that's say good night. It's getting late now. So good night.